Every year I can't wait to harvest elderflower. We have some wild trees growing on our farm, and I keep an eye on them until they're ready to go. You'll know when to pick your elderflower because they're the prettiest little lacy flowers. The first thing I wanted to show y'all how to make is elderflower tea. And it's really quite simple. Once you harvest the flower from the tree, you're just going to snip close to get all the flowers off. And just don't get too much of the green stem in. Just try to get as much flowers as you can. And one note, when you do harvest the elderflowers from the tree, don't get all the flowers because you want to leave some for the tree. Because we'll want those rich berries too. Now look here, we can see that I've just clipped it closest to the flower as I can. And I'm just going to spread them out and let any little bugs crawl out if there's any in there. Next, I'll just put my flowers into a glass jar. And I'll take some water that has been boiling and pour it over the flowers. And we just want to get enough water in there to cover the flowers. I'm going to end up with nearly half a gallon, but you can add more or less. There's really no secret recipe to this. And I'm going to cover the top with a plate and let it sit. I usually let it sit for a few hours and then simply strain off into a different jar. And I am going to actually save some in that little jar there in the back for some tea. And then in another jar, I put a little bit of honey, and then I added the warm tea. And I'm going to give it a stir, and then that will be for us to drink. Stir it up good. And then just pour it over ice, and it is so refreshing. You can compost those spent flowers, but we feed them to the hogs just like everything else. There's no waste here. The next thing I like to use elderflowers for is soap. I thought this up last year and I thought it was a unique way to use them. So what I'm going to do is a hot process soap. And I've measured out 9 ounces of the tea. And I mix that with my lye solution. I will have the recipe in the description. And then we're just going to mix it up. I'm showing you here what it looks like to each trace. And then the lid goes on the crock pot, and we're going to cook this hot process soap for 50 minutes. While that's cooking, I'm just going to show y'all some dried elderflower. I just dried it out on my shelf, and then I store it in a glass jar along with all my other dried herbs. Soap's done, and now it gets poured into the mold. Hot process soap will cure a lot faster. Alright, so after a few days of curing in the soap mold, I take it out and put it in my little homemade cutter. I use one of these to cut the soap with. I found it at Hobby Lobby, and then my husband made the soap mold cutter. This is one of my favorite soaps to make.